Welcome, everyone, to episode 331 of Dial the Gate, the Stargate Oral History Project. I'm David Reed. Welcome to the program. Two of my favorite guest stars are on with us today. Though if you're a really casual viewer of Stargate, you might not have always known it because you didn't necessarily know what to look for or listen for. But most of us here do. Patrick Currie, Stargate's Eamon and Chaka in Chaka 2 in Stargate SG-1 Season 7, and Alex Zahara, also from Season 7, Warrick 2, and Dion Johnstone. We're missing Dion Johnstone here. It just dawned on me. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Thank you so much for being here. It is a privilege to do episodes like this because they're kind of like mini conventions where I don't get to just ask all the questions. The fans do as well, and there's a little bit of cross chatter in terms of remembering certain things and everything else. So it's really a treat to have you both on at the same time. Patrick, what's going on in your world?
It's a rainy day in Vancouver. It's my day off. My job right now is doing a little tool repair at a tool repair shop.
Okay.
And I am working on adapting a series I pitched into a novel. And just before COVID, I did Project Blue Book, and just recently I shot an episode of Tracker, and that's about it. Auditioning away as usual.
For sure. What is the genre of your adaptation? I'm curious.
It's dystopian sci-fi.
Ah.
So think Walking Dead, sort of, but no zombies, just, yeah.
Okay. But that kind of malaise then about the world. Very good. Well, please keep us in the loop if and when that moves forward, please. Alex Zahara, welcome, sir. How are you doing?
Good. I'm just sitting here with my puppy Cooper. There you go.
Is a dog.
Little dachshund. He's a year and 4 months old. Very curious about everything. Like Patrick, my job, I'm helping a buddy renovate his house. I'm helping a buddy help my buddy's house get renovated. So, yeah. So I've been swinging a hammer like crazy, oh gosh, through COVID and all the strikes and everything else too. That's my sideline gig of doing that. But I mean, I teach acting and whatnot as well. But I get a more kick out of doing the construction stuff, honestly. I renovated our house, during COVID and stuff like that, and I sort of got more of a handle on it. So my skills have gone up to the roof where I learned to cut granite and glue it. And I mean, yeah, it's been crazy. So that's how I keep myself busy these days too, because it's pretty quiet. And mind you, I have got a recurring part in, School Spirits coming up. So School Spirits third season starts shooting in June, July. And I play Principal Hartman in that, so hopefully I'll be coming back doing more stuff in that.
Where can we watch that? What is that? Is that a Canadian show or
Paramount
is that
Plus.
Paramount Plus? Okay. And I must say, congratulations on the success of Final Destination Bloodlines. That's a pretty big one. I've been really I think everyone's been really pleased with the numbers that it's the ticket sales that it's generated, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Well, it was number one in the world like 2 weekends ago, I think it was.
Okay.
And it's grossed, I think, over 200 million so far worldwide. Yeah, it's been good. I mean, it's one of those things where like, yeah, you're in part of that movie. Now, if we shared in the profits of that, that would be great.
For sure.
Now, I finance Patrick's show coming up here. So there you go.
Absolutely. Finance Patrick's.
I'd finance your show coming up, Patrick. Your dystopian world. I would finance that if we made that into a TV series. You know,
From profit participation in Final Destination. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I just learned that Spielberg and Lucas exchanged 1% stakes on Close Encounters in Star Wars. I never knew that. So that was kind of really cool.
Each was convinced the other. I heard this story, but each was convinced. Well, they thought if one of the movies dies and the other does well, then they'll cover each other.
Float. Exactly right.
I'll see. There you go. Filmmaking is a cooperative venture. So there you go.
That's it. Gentlemen, you are so yoked with Stargate in so many ways. And I've had the privilege of having you on separately, as I've mentioned before. I'm curious to know what you think of the ongoing success of the franchise. I'm curious to hear, and Patrick, I'm going to start with you, what you think that the alchemy is that allows it to maintain itself over decades. Obviously, it's a not an active show right now, but sooner or later, Amazon MGM is going to want to have another go around again. What do you think, Patrick, is this or a component of the secret sauce that makes this thing really work, that continues to make it last in fans' minds?
I don't know. For my part in it, it's the human nature of the stories that just connect to everybody. They cross all genders, races, sexualities, all that stuff. Everything it was just a very inclusive show. But when I was watching back these two episodes, one of the things I noticed, and Alex, you're probably going to know, I'm sure you noticed this too, is that like the sense of family and spirit of the actual team making the show. Like I just remembered watching Enemy Mine when I think it's Richard Dean Anderson says, Penhall and whatever, you're with me,
Yeah.
right? And that's the reference to 21 Jump Street,
Yep.
right? And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot how interlaced everything was, right? And on that episode, like everybody's worked together in so many different ways. When I did Tracker, Sean Tyson, who played one of the Unases, was my stunt double for Tracker.
Oh,
And
wait.
Rob Hader was the stunt coordinator. And
Awesome.
Tom was on Tracker, and we're sitting in the green room, and it was like, damn, we started our careers together with
Stargate.
Yeah,
with
Tomo's first screen presence, I think it was Stargate as well. So wow, wild.
the replicators.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
That's right.
Yeah. And I think that comes across somehow, that the shooting, the Canadian production that was entirely based in this. The city was the main character, right? And so, yeah, I don't know. I think the audience just feels that connection.
I think that's a home run that the series does. One of my favorite shows of all time was Star Trek: The Next Generation, and for the first several episodes, potentially even more, depending on who you ask, the characters are not fully formed. And I don't know if you guys have gone back and watched some early Stargate SG-1. The characters are right there fairly quickly. In some cases, right in the pilot. Alex, do you agree? Do you have other additional perspectives?
You know what? No, I wholeheartedly agree, and it's funny because it must be true because both Patrick and I feel the same way about it too. The humanity of the stories, maybe that's being, I don't know, egocentric as humans, but dealing with a show about aliens, but I think it's a cross species or thing where we all want to just get along. Nobody wants to hurt each other, really. Nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to be injured or exploit people necessarily. But yeah, it's the coming together, humanity of the stories, like working together to overcome. And that's the whole thing, like with the Stargate crew and clan, the crew, the cast, everybody, it became a huge family. I was talking about this the other day, how shows like Stargate and Supernatural that were all shot and produced here and went like 10 to 15 years in Supernatural's case. But they, the crew becomes a family, and that energy, I think, gets translated to the screen because there's so little tension. Everything just works so smoothly, and the connections, like Richard Dean Anderson's connection, Peter DeLuise directed that episode, who was on 21 Jump Street, right? So they interweave all these things into the show, and yeah, we all wanted it to be a success and to work well. We were all trained to, do our jobs, and it all came together. And that's the thing. I think it's the commonality of the story, and then everybody's just wanting to support each other, and it comes across the screen, the energy.
Absolutely, for sure. One of my favorite pairs of episodes are certainly going to be Enemy Mine and Space Race. And I wanted to bring you guys in specifically to focus on these episodes. Fans may ask about some of the other parts in the show. I think we've covered that territory fairly well, but I want to focus in specifically on these, especially because Patrick and I have had these conversations about Eamon. And these two brothers are hilarious. They could have their own sitcom. One flies a spaceship, and the other designs dumpsters.
I think it's called Frasier.
Yes.
What did you say? What was that?
It's called Frasier.
Frasier. Yeah, exactly. It kind of was.
Yeah.
Tell me about getting these roles. Let's specifically start with Space Race. What was Enemy Mariner Space Race shot first, guys? Do you recall?
Space Race.
Okay, they were
Space
right
Race,
next to
Space-
each other on the production order. So,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Patrick, let's start with you. Did you know that Alex was going to be in it at that point? And I think, if I'm not mistaken, this was your first shot at really heavy prosthetics on Stargate, or had you done it before?
I'd done Stargate. Sorry, I'd done prosthetics on the Outer Limits once before,
Okay.
and it was a horrific nightmare. And I found out years later that the person doing the makeup on that show had blown the budget on something else because of personal reasons, and he decided to share the cowls, the headpieces.
Oh boy.
So I got one guy who had a much smaller nose than me, and I was in pain the whole day. And I thought maybe this is what it's supposed to be like because I was new. And then they had an assistant come to me at lunchtime who walked around and held my nose out for the rest of the shoot. And then at the end of the shoot, they took it off, and I had a blood blister, like black.
No,
It was brutal.
dude,
It
that's the
was brutal.
worst.
It was ridiculous. So I was like, when they first offered it to me, because I had just done, why am I blanking? My first Replicator episode.
Yeah, you had
And-
just come back, done fifth in. It was about a half a year before. Excuse me, about 8 months before.
Yeah. And so they had offered it to me, and I was like, my agent, I was like, no, not doing it. Just not going to do it. And then my agent was like, it's a guest star. It's a lot of days. And they actually want to offer you another prosthetic right afterwards.
You got them both
And then-
simultaneously offered.
I believe it was a suggestion, I think.
Okay.
And so I did the first one. And then by the end of the first one, I was signed up for the second one. It was like, that's never happened to me in my career ever again. It's like people just offering you roles.
Me either. Same thing.
Yeah. And so it was, so my agent twisted my arm and I took it. And this makeup team was incredible. Like incredible. We had so many problems. We had the typical problems I think you have with prosthetics, and they handled it so beautifully.
Yeah, ones that are designed for you, for your face.
It's that. Yeah, exactly. We're gonna use one that fits your face, Okay. But if we hadn't had that team, it could have been a much rougher shoot. But it was amazing. 4 hours in makeup, I think, for
Yeah,
Eamon.
3 or 4 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the makeup for Chaka. It was harder only because we were in the trailers up in the mountains at like 4 a.m. Right? Were you there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We had
That
to,
early?
yeah. We were open so early that they didn't have craft services enough for us. So when I got picked up, they would luckily Stargate would pick us up and stuff. And I said, okay, we're stopping at McDonald's. So I bought, there's the only thing that was open, bought McDonald's breakfast burritos or whatever, like McMuffins for everybody, and just do that. And then I think eventually certain people clued in and went, oh, maybe we should get those guys some food at 3, 4, 5 in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're not going to be eating anymore.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
right.
Chaka, it was like, yeah.
Alex, do you recall getting the tap on the shoulder for Warrick? And did Iron Shirt happen fairly similar in terms of what Patrick said? Like this may be a twofer?
Oh, totally. It was same thing, exactly like Patrick. They like since I did the first episode I did was like Spirits. And I played Zales, and then I did the hippie episode, Michael the hippie, and after that I never auditioned again for them except for when they did this episode with Warrick, when I played Warrick, because Dion couldn't make it, he couldn't do the episode, so they said, well, do you think you could reproduce his performance? So I said, yeah, and they asked me to come in and just sort of do my version of Dion's character of Warrick, and they went, okay, that looks like it's going to work great. So they said, yeah, we're going to do this one and probably another one right back to back. Are you cool with that? As probably Patrick would agree, I'm like an actor, although I didn't have the negative experience of the prosthetics, I'm like, back to back days and episodes and money and offers, yes, I'll take that, thank you.
And I'll amend what I said off of that. I did read for both the roles, but they were not full auditions. It was like,
Yeah,
we're looking at you for this, come in and read for it. So I did read for Peter and Andy for those.
yeah, exactly. And I came in for the work, and they said, just see if you can reproduce and make it so it can be something believable, right? And that's exactly it. And then for the other one, they knew I could be an animal, so they, oh, he can play a freak, so that's good,
This wasn't your first Unos either. So,
No,
yeah.
no, I'd done a few Unases before,
And some lady
so
Unoses too.
yes, and I played that female waitress. And I laugh because you talk about family and stuff. Like Mike Shanks and I went to university together. We were 1 year apart,
Oh, really?
and yeah, he was the year ahead of me. And I always say, Mike, if I'd only been out there and was auditioning, I could have been, might have taken your character. That hey, different
It wouldn't have
different
been
show, different.
impossible. I could see it,
There you go.
People
But
are
I had
yelling
I
at
had
me,
a
but I
lot.
don't care.
Yeah, I worked with James Spader. Like right as Michael got Stargate, I did a movie with James Spader, and it was just sort of funny because here I went to school with the guy who's playing his character in the movie now, and I'm working with him. So it was kind of weird. But no, those guys are a good group of people. But like I'm saying, like history and stuff goes back, and the guys at Masters FX who did the makeup for our shows with Patrick and myself. I mean, Mike Fields and Holland and those guys and Todd. They're great, and Dan Rebear and others, and they're just solid. Like what I mean. They didn't, and Stargate had the budget. They didn't really scrimp and stuff. So there's no blood blisters on my nose or Patrick's on this one, sure. I mean, I can't believe it because people don't understand. Like it's so like one time my ear, I was doing a prosthetic makeup gig for Babylon 5, Legend of the Rangers, and was it my ear? No, yeah, something got bent down, and also this other woman. The way we put on these cowls, her ear got flipped down like this, and mine did too a little bit one day. And it's unbelievably how painful that stuff gets. And I'm like, listen, man, I don't care what you got to do, cut it open, flip that ear up, do something because this is killing me. Because you can't act; it's so painful. It sounds stupid, like me, you're being a baby. Absolutely not. And I'll find the pictures here. Like Patrick, I did a show where they were saving on money. And it was for a favor, right, for Todd. And they used a skull cap on me for this gear. Well, it created these enormous welts on my head because it was not made for my head. And I had they were about that tall, and that wasn't fine. I had about a week off between shooting because after they formed up, then they blistered, and it looked like I had some alien disease, and then they popped and drained and scarred, and but see, that's just it. Either prosthetics can be no problem or they're hell, and if you
I had no idea.
scrimp and try to save money, they become hell.
And the actor can be a problem too because you're young and you think you're helping. If you go like, it's a little tight, but it's fine. It's not going to be fine.
No,
They need to know
yeah,
exactly what is happening, and when they ask if you're comfortable, they mean like, are you as comfortable as you would be with nothing on your face or nothing
yeah,
on your? And you have to be honest, or they can't do their work properly. So, yeah, you learn a lot.
I had
yeah.
no idea that it was ever considered anywhere to be proper for you to use someone else's measurements for them to use someone else's measurements of prosthetics
It's
for someone else.
it's not, and I think
Okay.
this is a story I had heard after I had done Outer Limits a few years later, and when I was considering not doing Stargate,
Yeah.
and someone had said to me in explanation, like, that was a problem with that particular episode and the crew, and it was like a very personal thing happening behind the scenes, and we just weren't informed what was happening, and it wasn't explained to me afterwards that. Well, I knew afterwards because I was never fitted for the piece, right? So
Right.
I thought it was normal. They're like, "This, we're gonna put this on you. You're about the same size. It's not like a tight sweater. It's very different."
No.
So
And they brought me in after I healed up. They brought me in and recast and did my head and made the proper thing, and it was never a problem after that. But even a couple millimeters too small, and you think about that, it doesn't seem like much, but when you're there all day and this is pushing, it got to be so bad for me. I felt like nauseous all day. I couldn't eat anything. I just felt like throwing up. And the second they took it off, it was like just relief, like unbelievable relief. But again, never happened on Stargate. They were awesome, but this other show, it was just an accident too. I mean, I volunteered it. I said, yeah, I think this will work. It doesn't feel so bad. No, no, no. I had never had an experience like that before, so I thought I could take it. Absolutely not. If there was such a thing as torture, honestly, that was probably torture.
Wow.
Yeah, and the makeup people on Outer Limits, I'm sure, had said to me, "Is this comfortable? Are you okay with this?" And I was saying, "Yes, I am," because it did feel comfortable.
Yeah, but you have no point of reference. You know,
In
it's
the
comfortable
beginning,
at the
yeah.
moment. Like I can deal with whatever I'm feeling, but you have no point of reference.
Yeah, it would be like
Right.
putting a clothespin on your nose for 10 hours. That's kind of what it ended up being.
Wow.
But
That's
again, the makeup
crazy.
people are incredible. On every experience after that has just been incredible, and they're such pros. There's so many little things that can go wrong, and they deal with all of them impeccably.
The only thing that I
Right.
can,
Okay. Here you go. I'm
yeah,
going to show you this. See if you can see this. Hang on. So this is the after effect of what had happened. Look,
I'm assuming that's your forehead.
that's my forehead.
Okay.
And see what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
That's
blistering.
after the welts. That's after the welts went down. You see me there. There I am.
Mm.
Yeah. It was just ugly. Like, and that's a week or 4 days after this. Look at this. So that was me coming off set the first night. Hang on. Look at that.
Ow.
Wow. So
Yeah.
it's like you're auditioning
Oh
for
my God.
Metamorphosis already.
Yeah, no kidding, eh? It was hell. Like it was. Oh yeah, look at this one. You'll love this one. Look at this one on the side of my head. Look at that.
Oh my. Wow. Your body is reacting.
And that took
Yeah.
a week.
That took a week to come down. I think it was like 3 or 4 days. It turned into those blisters, and then they popped and drained. And it was just disgusting. And then about a week later, they went and did my full on, thing. Oh yeah, here, look at the next day.
I don't know if I can take much more.
I know.
I don't know if you can see this. Look at that.
Wow.
That's the size of a golf ball. That thing there.
Ow.
Yeah, it was ugly. It was about a golf ball into height and about, I don't know, 1.5 centimeters off my skull.
Because it's glued down onto you and it's immobile.
Well, this one was a helmet. This was like a fiberglass helmet that held a rigging because I had 2 eyes on the top of my head that went around like this. But yeah, and then look at here's me getting, about a week later, they did the cast on my head so I could have a proper gear.
A custom casted
I
Alex
like
is a
it.
happy Alex.
That's right. But I did it so I could, help my friends save some cash. I thought, hey, it's no problem. But I'd never experienced, like Patrick, I don't know, I'd never experienced anything like that because all the makeup before had been made for me. So I thought, well, it should be fine. No. And it wasn't makeup. It was a fiberglass helmet supporting the rig for this thing. And my God, it was painful. Wow. But check this out. So here's me getting the life cast done. There you go.
So Patrick, can you relate to that specific experience, the live cast?
No, I've had the head cast. I haven't had the whole body cast.
Okay.
The head cast was a nightmare because I'm.
Oh yeah, so that was a head cast, not a life cast. You're right.
Can you tell us? Okay, as a claustrophobic person, please share your hell in going through the head cast. Oh wow, look at that. That's
what it was
amazing.
supporting was those eyeballs.
Wow. The only thing I recognize is your tongue. Jeez.
There you go.
All right, Patrick, what was your experience like through the head casting? Can you walk us through the process?
Yeah, if it hadn't been Todd's team, I don't know if I would have survived it.
Todd Masters, man.
They were so amazing. They explained everything that was going to happen. It's going to go on your head, and it's going to get really cool, and then all of a sudden it's just going to go like hard, like instantaneously. It heats up, then it goes cool, I think, and then it just hardens instant. It's fast. And they answered all my questions, like, well, what do we do if the fire alarm goes off? Like, do you guys run or do you take me out first? Like, what happens?
Right, there's got to be a procedure in place.
And then the assistant was like, my hand's going to be right here, 2 inches from yours. And if you need to grab it at any point, go ahead. You might need to know that someone's still here because your body's going to start feeling like you're isolated and alone and trapped. And yeah, that's pretty much how it felt. But as soon as it hardens, it's off right away. And you're breathing through a straw. And it's very fast, and it's. I wouldn't tell anyone not to do it. I mean, it's insignificant once you've done it once. But I think my claustrophobia made me paranoid at first. But it was good.
You don't have to worry about that anymore because now they've got this laser scan handheld thing, and they scanned my face for Final Destination, and all I did was lie there, and they just went with this thing like tick, 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 flashing light above my face, and it looks more realistic than anything I've ever seen before.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's a
That's
laser
good to know.
scan of your face. No more alginate, nothing. No. So anybody
Health.
who's a claustrophobic or not won't be affected.
I almost feel bad for all the people who have gone through that process before, who now, this is, I guess, the technology is going to continue to improve and you can certainly get more accuracy with that because now it's a digital file. I'm curious though, uh, uh, when you have this mold taken of your face, I would want it to be in my contract that I get to keep it because it's of me, and especially if it's a digital file of you, Alex, they can take
Yeah,
that,
Yeah.
that's you. I'm curious, did you guys
I
get
know.
the molds? Or is it just
Welcome.
like, no, because they can
Well,
continue to use it. That was the whole thing with Crispin Glover,
yeah.
supposedly, and Back to the Future Part Two.
Mhm.
What are you guys, Patrick? What is your thought on that?
I don't know. It's such a big issue. I have no idea. In terms of the show, I didn't ask for it, and you wouldn't have gotten it anyway because I think that's Todd's work, right? So he's going to
That's
own it
fair.
forever. It never even crossed my mind. But what you're talking about now with the digital scan of
Right.
your head, then just being used anywhere they like. Yeah, it's scary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Alex, I'm curious.
Well, so Todd, we've been friends for years,
Yeah.
and like 15 years ago at least, he said, "Hey, do you mind if we use your head as the shop head, like your mold of your head, so we can just mount? It's like a generic head, we mount stuff on and work on." And I said, "No problem." So it was really funny because I'd go into his shop from time to time, and of course, there's like 27 of me on the walls. It's kind of weird. And now he's got a like a not a museum per se, but yeah, well, I guess it's like an interactive come and view all our stuff. It's
It's
like
an
a
exhibit.
makeup museum. Yeah. So, and I laugh because a lot of the masks are mounted. That's my head. I can tell. That's my head right there. So yeah, I gave him permission for that. But yeah, the crappy thing about the scans and stuff is that yeah, they have it now, and what's to stop them from doing anything that they want? Like, with all the people cloning the voices and cloning faces and all the virtual AI and stuff or whatever AI today. Yeah, we're crossing a lot of like, dirty ground as it were. So
And
hey, I
quickly.
got to show you another picture real quick here. Check
Okay.
this out. Talk about when this happens when people cheap out on stuff. Now there's Dan Payne, good friend Dan. Now we were doing the show together. Now, you notice the headrest here
Yes.
and these wooden blocks. You see those wooden blocks there?
Hmm.
Okay. So on this show, they were trying to save money. And I say put it in quotes because you never save money when you try to save money. It always costs you more in the end. So they didn't provide us with makeup chairs with headrests. And every day we were doing 4 hours of makeup, people prodding on your head. So you had to push forward. You couldn't rest your head. So by the time you did 4 hours of makeup, went to set, your neck is just killing you because, and I wore this entire rig where it was up here and 10 pounds of stuff here. So I'd be like, no. And I said, enough of this crap. And they wouldn't pay for the chairs. I said, okay, fine. So I went out, got some blocks of wood, went out to like a auto wreckers. I bought headrests from wrecked cars and I drilled holes in the wood and we came in with tape and just taped it to the chairs. And we put the blocks up and whatever.
And
And
they
of course, when the
held.
producers saw that, they were all, oh, well, whatever. And I'm sorry, but I just blasted them. I said, listen, this is the minimum that's required. The
Yeah.
minimum, And I think after this, they went out and got real chairs after a week of using these. But you know what I mean? It's just, that's the problem when people cheap out and they think, oh yeah, okay, I'm saving $60 a day on a chair. You have no idea how that translates into your actor's performance because if you save $60 and my entire back is seized up because I've been holding my head up for 4 hours in a makeup chair since 3:30 in the morning. Good on you. I'm giving you the worst performance I can that day because I have no choice. I'm in so much pain.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
But
space
yeah,
waste specifically and the
no,
Serac.
no, no. That was another show. Don't worry about that. Again,
Oh,
but that's the
yeah.
opposite. The Stargate guys, that's my thing. They were always on us. Like when we did, I did Foothold, right? We were all in the lobster men outfits and stuff and overheating a bit. And some poor guy was almost passing out, but they were always watching us. Even when Patrick, do you remember this when we were shooting Space Race? There was a scene where you were showing like the I think we were
The
looking at a
loop.
monitor in your shop of the loop of Kangrat or whatever. And I was standing there and I started saying, I think I had lines, and I started saying something, and all I know is that suddenly everybody stopped and came around me. They unzipped my
Yeah.
costume, pulled it open, and were stuffing ice packs down my back because apparently I'd started speaking in tongues. And
Yeah.
I had
Jeez.
overheated so bad that I didn't know I was overheating. And I remember distinctly being in there, and all of a sudden there was stuff going on. My brain could see people moving in my eyes, and all of a sudden it was like being that dream, like, and I was back in the room, and I'm like, I could hear people again. And I'm like, what's going on? And I
You had a
had literally
blackout
sort of-
standing up.
I had a blackout standing up, but I was still apparently gurgling out like baby words. I don't know. Does
Yeah,
that
because I was
sound
looking.
familiar, Patrick?
My recollection. I think we were in that the hydro facility.
That's right.
I was facing you, and we were doing dialogue, and then something started going really weird, and then they were like, "Everyone on Alex," and then like people swept in. Yeah, I remember because yeah, your costume was half off, and they were like behind you with the ice packs, and you didn't really know what was going on.
No, because I didn't even know I was overheating. But that's the problem is the costume looked great, but it was a 7 millimeter thick wetsuit I was wearing that had been painted. And well, it's an insulator. So I was slowly overheating
Cooking.
and I didn't know it. But they were on me like that. And from then on, they just made sure they monitored my temperature, would open the back up all the time and stuff. But yeah, that had never happened before or since, luckily. But yeah, these little misadventures with costumes and makeup.
Yeah, just tapped by God for just a couple of moments there. You see the divine, and then we bring you back. Oh my gosh! Tell me about these brothers. What do you guys recall about them, even all these years later?
I think Patrick nailed it. It was sort of like Frasier in a way, you know?
Yeah.
It kind of was. You had the.
Well, I was at a convention, and a woman got up in the audience and said that, I think I've told you this before, David. Her mother said, my mother was watching the episode, and she said, "That's the guy who plays Niles." And they were convinced.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, and I was like, and I was like, well, that's a compliment.
Yes.
Yeah, but they had to look it up, and this was before I think they could just like fly into IMDb or whatever. And she was convinced, they had a bet that I was being played by the gentleman.
David Hyde Pierce.
Niles Crane. Yeah, David Hyde Pierce.
That is a high compliment. I would agree.
Yeah.
But see, that's just that vibe, that energy you brought, and then I wasn't maybe quite like Frasier, but you know, it had that sort of reminiscent dynamic.
Yeah,
Wow.
and Andy Makita had come up to me on like, I think my third scene. I was in the ship, and he came up and he said, "I just need to talk to you for a moment." And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "So you're in a lot of like reptilian makeup and everything, and I'm not sure how this is happening, but I just want you to know he's a little gay." and I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "No," he's like, "It's okay. I just wanted to let the actor know how the makeup is translating so that you're getting the performance you're trying to do." And I was like, "Oh, you're a moron." No, that's a quote from the show.
That's so great.
But yeah, it was very funny because he was I wanted him to be quite the poncy, like thinks he's better than his big brother.
Yeah.
Guy,
There's
right?
that the effeminate is coming through on the performance. It's not because of the reptilian makeup. It's because that is your approach for this character.
Yeah, it was that he was like, you would have been like the football player, and right, you know, and I would have been the
Exactly.
drum.
There you go. But see, that's just like the two, and that's perfect for siblings, the two polar opposites usually, right? You know, one's more into sports and racing, whatever. Well, the other one does the technical behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah,
There you go.
I'm sure Eamon was thinking, Warrick will work for me one day. I know he's thinking that.
Absolutely, and he's always trying to prove himself, and Warrick is just so like solid in who he is, and Eamon's still trying to find himself by somehow bringing down Warrick.
Yeah. Well, if you look at, but that's the part of the thing, thinking about the back history, like for the character of Warrick, like I can't remember exactly how long they were trapped in the previous episode that where you know, Dion established the character. They were trapped on a planet for however long. So he's a survivor, you know?
That's exactly right. And now he's back, and I'm sure Eamon's just like, seriously though, it's been great, and now he's a lead in a friggin' race. What the heck is going on here?
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
like I wanted him to come back.
That's exactly right. Oh,
Yeah.
what about?
I had to laugh though because when they made Warwick's character, they sculpted it. Now, of course, I'm a little heavier than Dion, fair enough, you know, I'm probably 10, 15 pounds heavier than him, easy. But it was so funny because when they did the sculpture, it really bulked out, and I thought, oh, so you know, Warwick came back from being trapped on the planet with no food, and he ate his favorite food a lot. He bulked up a little. Okay,
It makes
you know,
sense, though. You could see it
in a
that
way,
way.
it
He would have
does.
gained a little bit having returned to
Sure.
civilization.
Yeah. But and also the little bulky suit helped a little bit as well. But again, mind you, it almost made me like, cross the Rainbow Bridge a little bit. So
And I was really fortunate with Eamon that I remember when they were putting it on, the makeup for Eamon was so delicate. Like those layers, like I had a lot of facial movement and a lot of expression I was able to come through without a lot of effort. I do remember he raises his eyebrows a lot, and at the end of the day, I was getting a tension headache from,
Yeah.
from just fighting the makeup to get those expressions. But
right.
What
Yeah.
about the contact lenses, Patrick? Do you remember any issues with them? These red contact lenses, because they from the original episode, they're designed to be to make them look more threatening because he's supposed to be the good guy, but we're supposed to think that he's the bad guy. So they made them kind of devilish. Have you had issues with contact lenses? Are they comfortable for you? Do you dread them? I'm curious, Patrick.
no, I don't like contact lenses at all. Like that's the thick frame glasses. I've never really had to wear them. And that was my first time wearing ones that were the size of loonies. And I didn't like it. Again, the team was amazing. So it was painless and it was fine. It takes a little getting used to. The issue came up with Chaka though. And Alex, I don't know if you remember the issue with Chaka, that I was in my trailer and I was like, this one feels funny. It feels funny. And the eye guy is like, oh my God, it splits. Like it's cut in half. And they were like, I think they were like $500 or something. And so they weren't skimping. They just never thought we would need two sets of contacts.
And
You
So they
didn't
only
have
had one.
two.
No, they only had one. So I now had a human eye and a normal eye. And they were freaking out. And the guy left the trailer. And I thought, oh my God, it's my fault. I was blinking too hard. I don't know what I did. And then he comes back and he goes, oh my God. I'm like, what? He goes, this is insane. But you and Alex have the exact same size eyeball. Exactly.
No.
Yeah. And because you only had one contact, because your character only had one eye, good eye, they were able to use your
Oh,
left
that's
eye.
fantastic.
No way.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I didn't know. I don't remember
know
that.
this.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah, no, the lens tech was just like, oh, thank God. Thank God.
That's
And I was like,
awesome.
are you serious? And he's like, I would not legally be able to put this in your eye if it weren't, but it's the exact same measurement as the one we made for you.
Wow.
So yeah, it saved the day. Yeah.
That's great, man. That's crazy because again, when I was a kid, I was in a car accident or a family, and shards of glass went in my eyes. My mom had to hold me down, kicking, screaming to pick the glass out of my eyes. Yeah. So I never liked anyone touching my eyes or anything. And so the first time I had to do lenses, I was like, just like, okay. I got used to it more and more. But again, the guys, the techs, Kevin was his name. He actually works at Costco. Kevin was one of the guys that did a lot with me. And then there was a lady, I think was it Val? I can't remember her name, blonde lady. But they were so good. They're always so kind and so gentle. And
Oh, yeah.
I've never had an issue getting in and out of lenses ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
So we're eyebrows.
Yeah, for
we're
sure. Same
eyebrows.
eyeball
Is it?
shapes.
I've literally never heard of that because they always say like everybody's eyes are unique, etc. But like apparently not.
Apparently.
That is just wild.
yeah.
That's hilarious. I forgot that. Or I either forgot or didn't know. But that's amazing, Patrick. Eh?
You knew it because I don't remember the details of but I know we talked about it on the day.
Okay.
because obviously
It's been
I-
decades. I forgot.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, we would have talked about it on the day. But yeah, it was.
Yeah, I'm sure we did. And I was gonna say, forgive the big scraggly beard, but I'm growing it in for the show that I'm doing, and I just realized I'm starting to look like a bit of a hillbilly. So there you go.
No, it looks great. I love it. I must.
Well, we're going. Funny enough, I look more like Uncle Howard today, the character from Final Destination, because a group of us, our little gang of friends, we call ourselves the Urban Tribe. We've been friends for almost 3 decades, and 21 of us are going tonight to see the film.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, nice.
Very fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
You guys spent a lot of time so in terms of settings, Enemy Mine was just a flip of what you were having to deal with for Space Race. Exteriors for almost all of it, definitely almost all of it for you, Patrick, definitely for you, Alex. And being with under these, not just suits, but you've got costumes on top of that. And I guess in some cases they're fudging, one for the other because you're not going to be seeing
Right.
the lizard skin and everything else or whatever skin they have. Was it? I guess I'm asking, how uncomfortable was it, Patrick? This is the hour of complaining about comfort on set.
Again,
Yeah.
they made it so comfortable.
Okay.
I can understand how coming from the outside you would think that must have been a nightmare, and it could have been.
It
His
looks
coat
beautiful,
was
and that usually suggests discomfort.
his coat was.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, the headpiece. Like we go into the trailer, it's like 3:30 in the morning. It's ice cold. You get in, they're putting it on. It takes forever. And with this one, like I said, Eamon was almost like my own skin. It was so delicate,
Yeah.
and just put on like with the little brush. This one, I could feel myself being buried, like I was deeper inside, and my brain was sensing that any help I needed was outside of where I was now living. And then so I wore a jumper, like a long underwear with a big zipper in the front. And then they put on the coat, which was really heavy and really hot. And then I had arms to here and legs to mid thigh, and those were on. And it was hot and a little awkward for movement.
Didn't you have the bodysuit to tie it all together as well?
No, because I had that coat, and it was.
Okay.
He
I
had
think the
civilized
coat
his
covered-
civilization.
The cowl went down. I was down to here, and then the coat went up to here. But what I remember is, for the first time in my adult life, I needed help to go pee, and I had an assistant who would walk me to the woods, undo the coat, tie it behind me, and they had a big loop in my underwear, and my big paw had to go in, and I would pull it down, and I would do the thing, and then I would shake, and then I would pull it back up, and then they would come and do the coat back up.
Yep.
Yeah, because you can't turn around and wash your hands. You gotta.
You can't use. You're not like I did with the claws, right? So they stayed on until lunch, and the only thing they removed during shooting was the teeth.
Yeah.
And then thank God for those people, because they would have to hold the thing in front of you, take out your teeth, and then let all the saliva. It was not pretty.
Yeah.
It was so gross.
They made you feel they allowed you to maintain your dignity and treated it in such a professional way.
Just swallow as much as you can before we have to grab them.
Yeah.
I'll tag in on that. Like the first time we did like a lot of the Unas, like the full or a Beast of Burden. That's the one. For whatever reason, they'd kind of forgotten about the fact that we're all clawed up and can't get out easily, and they hadn't built, like Patrick's saying, the big hook or like a circle to put your claw in and pull down the zipper. So it was just nuts. This poor lady, I think it was Nancy Kwan. It was her first day on set, and she had to literally take us to the bathroom and pull our pants down so we could, do our business and whatever. It was just ridiculous. So the next day we show up and they have this big zipper built in the front with a large hoop so we could put our claw thumb through and pull down. But Patrick's right. You had to, get your junk out, do your business, shaky, and then like as best you can, put it all back, zip yourself up, and then you come and put your pants back up for you. But oh man, can you imagine your first day on set?
Were you in the woods for that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So point you to the nearest bush, right? So it was better than having to try and aim the urinal or anything. I mean, it was.
If you had to go inside like a trailer, like one of the trailer toilets, forget it. Like it was so much easier. But that's another thing about not eating. Like we weren't allowed to eat during the day. We could have like protein shakes and just liquid. But one of the times we did it, it was so hot. Like we were all drinking water and stuff. Like I never went to the bathroom anyway. Like I had to do number 2, as it were, because there was just so much water coming at me. But the thing is, we would sweat it out because in those suits, especially in Beast of Burden, we were running around in the forest, and I was a bloodhound, and I'm chasing myself, my other character and stuff. Boy, oh boy, you talk about getting warm after a while. Like holy doodle.
It's so
and you're keeping your body sweating, and you're panicking now that your prosthetics are going to start coming off, right? So you're trying to how do I keep my face from sweating and let my body do all this, right?
I was just hope that the makeup people would have thought of that when they glued me in. Maybe they.
They do.
It's nothing moved on my face. There was very, very few touches ever needed to be done after.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's surgical glue, right? So when they put it on, it's surgical glue. So they start at the nose usually and work their way out, and then blend into the edges of the cowl. So and it takes like like Patrick, like 3 to 4 hours to put on, and at the end of the night, it takes about an hour to get it all off because it's not easy. You have to put alcohol in and go bit by bit and bit by bit. And one time it was an accident and totally, Buddy accidentally hit me in the eye with his alcohol brush. Holy crap! I did the eye wash and the whole 9 yards, but I was doing the funky chicken dancing around like, man, that hurt.
Wow.
When they did my first makeup test, they have two different things they use to remove it. They can use these one's an oil based, one's an alcohol based. I think
That's
I
right.
don't know the science behind it, but they
Yeah.
took off my entire thing, and I was like, "Oh, that's really cool. It feels like a cool bath on my face." And they got it off. I left the trailer. I went outside. I walked like 100 feet, and then thought something's wrong. And I came back, and it was like I'd been slashed with a knife all over my face because I had an allergic
Whoa.
reaction
Oh
to what I.
no.
I
Yeah,
guess we're going with the other one from now on.
yeah. I'm lucky. I've known that for even on tracker. I had small prosthetics on. I was like, use the other thing.
Yeah.
It was just an allergic reaction to it. They put on some of
Wow.
that rescue remedy stuff, and
Yeah,
it
rescue cream.
went
Yeah.
went down right away. But yeah, you learn as you live, you learn.
Yeah, you don't know how
Yeah,
you're going
yeah,
to react. Yeah, specifically you.
yeah.
That's just
Yeah,
wild.
you just don't know. I remember the first time they did it with me, they were a little concerned about it, but it was fine. But yeah, I can't remember the name of there's the oil-based stuff. I can't remember the name of it.
Muirstead,
Um,
is that the
Muirsted.
is that it? Yeah,
Muirstate.
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 I was
Yeah.
gonna say
And
Monistat,
then
but that's a whole other thing.
that's a whole other thing. But Muirstate, and then it's super greasy, and then the alcohol is fine.
Yeah,
I mean, I look at this, whatever works, works. But the end of the day, like, yeah, you don't want to have a razor blades on your face or stabbed in the eye. There you go.
There we
there you go.
go. For all the unas everywhere.
That's right. Yeah.
Perfect.
There you
There
go.
you go.
Just absolutely wild, guys. I know. I'm looking at the clock here, just to be respectful of Patrick's time.
Yeah, I'm fine. I haven't. The nieces and nephews
You're
haven't
good for
checked
now.
it.
Okay.
We're fine.
Me too.
When
I'm
you
good.
okay. Thank you, Alex.
And if people are wondering, my puppy's on my lap. Every once in a while I'm doing like this. It's because I've got a puppy on my lap. Just so you know.
Dachshunds, they are at rest on laps because they know when you move, they'll wake up.
That's right.
And most dogs. Patrick, what was it like for you now being the one to take on Dion's role? And I think one of the things that I noticed when I watched Enemy Mine was that the movement was much smoother. It was distinctly different, and I ended up coming around to appreciate that. That as a performer, you're not there to emulate another performance. You're there to find that performance based on those conditions presented in that script. And what was it like getting into this second character that way?
I think well, having watched it back, I maybe would have preferred a little more weight to his character. But one of the notes that Peter had given me was that he's been domesticated now, right?
Yeah.
Like somewhat. He comes in the coat was a big signature, right? Because it was like he has a finely crafted coat, and he's not the wild man anymore. So that lent to him being a little more
Tame.
smoother in his a little smoother in his movements and all that kind of stuff. But Peter, like on the first day, he like came and grabbed me once I was fully in costume, took me outside, and like basically gave me Unas dance lessons or Chaka dance lessons and walked with me like huffing and puffing, walking around. Like he was amazing. He helped me build that character in a very short period of time because I had read for it, so the qualities he wanted were already there. But then he helped me refine it and bring it to because I'm a lot of the stuff that I think even before filming that I thought was translating wasn't getting through the coat and the costume. And I, as an actor, hadn't dealt with having to go that big. I had the benefit of like Alex going to university for theater, so having done lots of movement training, and that helped. But yeah, I don't think I was trying to copy Dion, but I did study his performance to sort of get the head and the hand gestures right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Alex?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you know what? It's funny you say that too because again, I wasn't trying to copy Dion necessarily, but as to recreate a version of Warrick, right? And especially the fact that I looked at, like, it's almost been like he'd been in prison, isolated on a desert island for years, and that changes somebody. So he's going to be different when he comes home to his relatives and whatever. He's going to be a little different, right? Going through traumatic events like that, fighting for your life. So,
Yeah,
I thought whatever comes out, and that's the new Warwick. So be it. You know what I mean?
for sure.
Um, I didn't feel I never felt like I was stranglehold held back trying to emulate Dion's character. So you know what we got to do? We got to do this another time and get Dion on here, and we'll all three compare.
I'm trying to have him on. I want to have him on. Yeah, we're going to keep on trying. I'm going to go to fan questions,
Sure.
weave them in. William Aarons wants to know, Patrick, comma, what was the process in developing Chaka's communication with Daniel? Because you're starting to use some English words. He didn't really do that the last time before. How did you work that through the prosthetics and the teeth? Was there an exploration there between the two of you as actors to try and figure out how to become more just enough articulate so that it would sell in the performance? What was the canal that you rode through there?
With Daniel and I, that was sort of just the organic part of
Okay.
rehearsal and performance, just responding to what we're picking up, what you're being given, right? That was just sort of organic. But Peter and I had worked again after the physical movement. Then we went to the text because everything was going to change once I had the teeth in, and then I saw the limited amount of expression that I was going to have. So yeah, we talked through how to make those human words sound like we didn't want them to sound human. We wanted there to be a hint of human in them, and just enough for people to catch it. Yeah.
Be able to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To understand that Daniel and I are that sort of signified that we were communicating in a much easier way on every level, right? So that was sort of like the bridge. So the audience got why we were able to communicate so quickly when we are using total opposite languages.
For sure. That makes a lot of sense. I'm curious, and Lockwatcher brings this up here for both of you. Alex, I'm going to take you first. Is there a role that you wanted on Stargate that you auditioned for that you didn't get? Or a role that you
Yeah.
had wanted to have auditioned for?
Yeah, Michael Shanks's role.
Daniel. Okay.
No, but I mean, when you stop and think of it, I mean, I was blonde and blue-eyed like James Spader. Well, why not, No, I was still in university when that was going on, so I wouldn't even had a chance to audition for it, really. I didn't even have an agent at the time. But no, I mean, playing that Daniel Jackson's character, that would have been pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I think I was really lucky with that show in the sense of I got to play so many characters, and even within like you mentioned earlier, David, I within one episode alone, I played 8 or 9 different characters. I mean, yeah, smaller, like Unas carrying water, Unas working in the field, but then I played like the female waitress Unas who serves Shanks a drink. And during rehearsals, Martin Wood was directing, and when Daniel Jackson's character says thank you, like we're slaves and we get mistreated like crazy. So when this person was kind to me, I leaned over and just give him a sniff in rehearsal, and because there's no holes in the nose, it all sort of flexed and looked like I was really sniffing. And Martin yelled, "Ah, oh, beauty, nice. Yeah, do that again," So, I mean, stuff like that. So I was lucky. I got to play a lot of different roles and like Michael the hippie, exploring the horrors of war and not wanting to kill people, and, a lot of political stuff too, and enemy mine and stuff. So I really think I got the best of all worlds because I played a bunch of different characters over a lot of years. So it was great. But yeah, having to play, I would have loved to have played Daniel Jackson. That was my one go-to that would have been great.
Patrick, did you pursue or want to pursue any characters in Stargate that you didn't get?
No, but I think I think everybody wanted to audition for the leads of the show.
Yeah.
Would have been great to be Daniel. But in terms of after that, I think I talked to you about this with Unnatural Selection that I had auditioned so many times, and one time Peter had leaned across the table to me and gone, "Every time you come in, it's amazing. That was incredible. I loved it, and you're not booking it." And I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah.
So because I don't read military at the time, especially military was just never going to sit with me. And so the performances are great, but the camera and I were not finding a common ground. And then that's when I told my agent, no more auditioning for Stargate. It's too demoralizing. Like we take enough rejection, but they've seen me like 35 times.
Yeah, I've struck out plenty by now. My batting average is...
And then the producers and the writing team were so amazing. And when Unnatural Selection came up, they went to my agent and said, can you get him in for this one? We really want him for this one. We think this is going to be great. And then I got the part, and it was 5 episodes in total, I think. And
that's great.
Gave me a really great fan following. So and it spoke to a lot of people on a really deep level. So so I was really grateful for that. And then the other 2 were just fun. And watching them back today, yesterday and today, I was just like, I forgot how much fun they were.
Same here. I was watching today and yesterday. I was just like, oh my God, like, just like it is a lot of fun because again, come on, we're playing dress up and getting paid for it, really, in some respects. I mean, like we're not solving the world's problems, mind you. I've had a lot of fans at Stargate conventions come up and say, if it wasn't for the show, like I wouldn't be here today. And like, see, that's what speaks to the humanity of the show, that it brought people back from the edge of feeling disconnected from the world, feeling disconnected from themselves, and brought them back into society, and that they're still here and still moving on. I mean, I'll be right up. I had a woman said I was thinking of killing myself, and I was like, whoa, like that really hit me. I was just like, I'd never heard anyone say that before about a show. Because I mean, I'm a fan too. I worked with Omar Sharif, and when Dr. Zhivago came on the set, my heart burst out of my chest, pounding, right? But it's a different reaction if you're in a dark place and a show speaks to you and you find a connection to it, right? So I was thankful for that. And I was like, I'm not that I ever didn't take it seriously, but I took our appearances and going to conventions and stuff too far more seriously after that, because you realize at that point, like, it isn't just entertainment. Sometimes it's a life ring or a life raft for people,
Yeah.
And sorry, Patrick, but especially in the LGBTQ community too, I think, it comes up a lot.
And I'm going to retell this story, David, because I told this to you before.
Be my guest.
It was we were at the Vancouver airport, and I think that was the convention. And this guy came up in this like military gear and stuff. And I was like, I shift gears depending on who I'm talking to. That's like what you do as a human and what you do as an actor. And I want to be able to talk to him in his way of speaking and like how he connected to the show. And he's like, yeah, I'm here because my kid loves the show too, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, that's awesome and everything. And then his kid kind of steps out behind. It's like a 13-year-old trans kid with their like rainbow flag on. It's a Stargate rainbow thing.
Stargate, yeah.
And I looked at the kid and I looked at the dad, and even telling this, I'm on the verge of tears because I was like, I was the link, the character that I got blessed to play was the link between that military dad finding connection to their kid. And it was just like,
that's awesome.
You realize it's like insanely powerful. Yeah.
It sure as heck can be. Like it's nuts. Like my wife and I, as a personal relationship, we were watching Ozark the other night. Now that can be some pretty dark material, but in watching Ozark, we see elements of our own relationship. You know what I mean? And the communication. The characters end up going to like marriage counselor together, and we've done some marriage counseling and stuff. So it just was like very reflective. Where okay, I see my life there. But that's an amazing story, Patrick. Like to personalize it like that, like. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's the type of thing where like, that's the side benefit, I think, or maybe that's the ultimate benefit of being in our profession, is that unknowingly we've helped people bridge gaps of communication within families, within cultures, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
You are creating entertainment. And with entertainment, people are going to a place to unplug and step away. But while they're doing that, they're listening. They're taking in not just the story that they're being told, but they're taking in the messages underneath. And they can tell when it's being forced or not on them. And when it's done in a thoughtful and with good intentions and with no malice toward them, and it asks them questions that make them go, huh, Okay, I've never necessarily thought of it that way before. You can open
Right.
all kinds of doors in people's minds. My father and I are way too similar, but we've always kind of been like this. Love each other very much, but kind of frequently like this. Man's probably watching right now.
Oh,
Star
Mummy's
Trek,
home. Forgive me. Mummy's home.
Mommy's home.
Sorry.
But Star Trek was the thing that we both connected on an intellectual level because it was the first series that I was exposed to when I was like 4 or 5, when I was just beginning to ask, why is the one guy painted black on one side and white on the other? You know, and so it has always been our connection. So I completely get that, Patrick, what you were saying with the father and child, and it's these places are our escape to let go of the day-to-day grind and to dream, and to be a part of that just pursues itself over time.
And I think that's why I'm really focused on writing now, because there is entertainment and there's storytelling, and we have a lot of entertainment right now that isn't necessarily storytelling. Because for me,
Exactly.
It's just content.
storytelling is the human condition.
That's right.
And why we need to tell it. And the magic is when entertainment and storytelling can come together. Because how many times, Alex, do you get a script and you realize that there was a story here that's been sacrificed for entertainment value, and you think, why do you not, like, you know, or even they edit out a performance because maybe the story that's being told isn't to one person's liking. And that was where Fifth was so amazing. You know, he's the first of his family of 5 to feel human emotion and to fall in love, and his family rejects him for it.
That's right.
And that's, you know, that's why, you know, I've been lucky enough to go to all these conventions.
And we can all relate to that. We can all relate to being part of, you know, groups or our own families where, well,
But that's what
black sheep right here.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying earlier. Like, it might be entertainment, but like Patrick hit the nail on the head. Storytelling that is entertaining, or you know, meets the entertainment. It communicates, you know, the human experience, and we learn from it. We see a show, and yeah, it might not be our exact experience, but it's relatable enough that we can bridge a gap, and perhaps in our own relationships to other people, ourselves, the world, we can bridge that gap, having vicariously experienced that on the show or through the show. And I mean, for me, that's what I think it's all about at the end of the day is, Patrick hit the nail on the head. The number of scripts I've read that, like, people, I've literally been told, well, we've had to dumb the script down. I'm like, well, why? Why do you assume that people aren't going to understand stuff? You know, and no, don't do that. And I've literally gone into an audition and I rewrote the monologue that I had. I changed it. I just said, I'm not saying these words. I'm not doing it. So I wrote what it should have said. And the director went in and he said to me, wow, that was great. That's exactly what I wanted to say. And I said, so why didn't you? I literally asked him. He says, I was told to dumb the script down. I said, well, that didn't work, did it? He goes, nope. And I booked it. And we kept a hybrid of what he had written and what I had written. And the studio was fine with it, because in the end of the day, it appeared like there was enough changes, or there was enough drafts that, oh, okay, they took our notes and they did. No. We just rewrote it and made it work better. But that's just it. Whenever, I hate to say this, but whenever suits or accountants or non-creative types get involved and they try to, like, you know, make it more affordable or do whatever, or cheapen it up, it loses focus. It's like the old days when you used to do, like, make a copy of a videotape and make a copy of a copy of a copy. By the end, it's just fuzz. And you don't take a great story and turn it into fuzz.
Yeah, and I mean, Stargate is a testament to the fact that if you keep entertainment and storytelling together, you create a product that makes money and never goes away.
Exactly.
That's it, because it's a lens.
It's like,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm doing another convention in September in England from follow the
Yellowgate Road.
Yeah, it's a really small one.
Yeah, Mama Knox is in the chat right now.
Knox. Yeah, Mama Knox, and I'm thrilled to be doing it because it's 200 people. Because Alex will also probably agree, you don't have enough time to talk to all the people who, when they come up to the table, you see the connection in their eye that they want to say something, and it's not the right venue, because they want to. Maybe no one listens to them, and some character we played all those years ago is still someone that they would like to just be able to, like, you know, speak something to, right? Yeah, and so I think that's the convention I'm excited about because of the small.
I have to.
Oh, I want to come. I'll go with you.
Mama Knox, Alex wants to go. I have
Seriously,
to.
I'll go. I have tons of friends in England. I'll make a trip of it.
Before we let you all go, I have to tell on Patrick here for a minute there, because I was trying to organize an interview with him at GayCon for the future, to just pitch him, bringing him on, and he was talking with this young man who he was a fan of. It's not the L word; it's the Queer as Folk, and
Yeah.
they had a very intimate conversation, and I wasn't listening. I was far enough back. This is the only time that I've seen this happen. I've done a lot of these. Patrick got up from the table. He went around the table and he gave the kid a hug and he held him for a minute. And it was just like, this guy is reading people, you know? It's not just with words. He's reading this kid's body language, and he's after he signed the DVD case, you know, just that embrace. We need that more than we think these days. We're stuck in these damn things all the time, and they're destroying our culture, you know. And we see artifices of the world through them that aren't true. But through science fiction and fantasy, they bring things into a stark focus where it's like, this makes sense. This I understand. This I have experienced. And you're perpetuating that. And when you get to connect with people at conventions, like Patrick, you did with that kid, it makes all the difference in the world. You don't know where that'll go from there.
Here's a funny connection. You like this? I was shooting Project Blue Book, and my character's name was Stuart, and the lead was Aiden from Game of Thrones, Littlefinger.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And he was yelling at me on the gurney. He's like, Stuart, Stuart, Stuart. And then I went, oh, wow. I knew he had been in Queer as Folk, the original show, but I forgot his character was Stuart in that show. So then we went into the green room, and I was like, hey, you were Stuart in Queer as Folk. He was like, oh, you saw Queer as Folk? And I was like, yeah, the British version. He's like, oh, that's shocking to me. He's like, yeah, that was a huge deal. And then I said, I was on the Queer as Folk American version. And then he said, did you meet, why is his name escaping me right now? The creator, Doctor Who, the creator. And I was like, oh, Russell T Davies. And I was like, actually, Russell's visited the set in Toronto that day. And so then Aiden and I sat and talked about queer film, sci-fi film, and how they all came together. And yeah, it was a really small world conversation. It was great.
You never know. You never know how it's all going to hit together. Gentlemen, this has been wonderful. Thank you for giving so generously of your time. We may have lost Alex. Oh, there he is. Okay. We're losing. If it freezes like that, I often lose people. Thank you so much for walking us through these special characters. It means so much to have you both. Any closing thoughts, Alex?
Alex froze.
Well,
I'm
I don't know
afraid
if
I
I'm
lost
frozen
him.
or not.
I can hear you. Go ahead.
I'm frozen.
Go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, just, you know, it's been great. And the Stargate is a show that keeps on giving, you know, over the years, like, you know, doing the shows, but it has expanded my life. I've made tons of friends from Stargate around the world. And I'm still friends with them today. And when we're over in different countries or visiting or whatever, I try to, you know, connect or stop in. And yeah, like, look at, we're still connecting here. You know, I haven't been to a convention in a year or two or whatever, but yeah, I would love to keep connecting with people like that. And I love doing the show. So thanks very much.
Thank you, sir. And if you have not seen Final Destination 5, is it?
No, 6, Bloodlines.
6, Bloodlines. Go and see it in theaters. Can you tell a quick story, real quick, about your experience on that film?
Sure. Okay. So I make my living dying on TV, as I say, because I've been killed 40 times in TV and film. And it was my 40th death. And I'm not giving anything away because it's in the trailer. You see it.
Yeah.
Uncle Howard, he steps on a hunk of glass, it goes through his foot, and then he falls. And all this, like is it the Rube Goldberg, all the little machines and mechanisms of things have hit this, and that's fallen, and the Frankenstein falls over and hits the thing.
Jeez.
And then the lawnmower rears up and schmick me on the face. Well, it's movie magic because it's just typical Vancouver Spring.
Oof. Sorry, guys.
Alex is frozen, right?
I'm sure it's we're losing your story, buddy. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Broke a bit, and then just
Vancouver Movie Magic,
Yes.
Vancouver Spring.
Patrick, you're going to make me sick.
oh, it sucks. Movie magic. Can you hear me?
Yes and no. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yes. You got 15 more seconds. Go ahead.
Long story short, it was movie magic. Rainy day, sunny. I died. So there you go.
Go check out Final Destination Bloodlines in theaters and watch Alex give a fantastic performance supine position. Patrick, thank you so much for coming on. I know a lot of people who are watching are looking forward to meeting you at Yellowgate Road.
Oh, great.
It's been wonderful to have you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you both for
Take
being
care.
here. Be well. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. That is Patrick Currie and Alex Zahara. Eamon and Chaka and Warrick and Iron Shirt. Yes, I got them all. I can't believe it. My name is David Reed. You're watching Dial the Gate. We have in just about 15 minutes from now, Kevin McNulty, who played Dr. Warner in Stargate SG-1 and Chancellor Lycus in Stargate Atlantis. I really appreciate you tuning in for this episode. If you enjoy Stargate and you want to see more content like this on YouTube, do click the like button. It does make a difference with the show and will help us continue to grow our audience. Please also consider sharing this video with a Stargate friend. And if you want to get notified about future episodes, click subscribe. And clips from this live stream will be released over the course of the next few weeks on both the Dial the Gate and gateworld.net YouTube channels. My tremendous thanks to my moderating team, Anthony, Jeremy, Kevin, Lockwatcher, Marcia, Raj, and Jacob. You guys make the show possible. My producers, Anthony Rowling, Kevin Weaver, and Linda Gate-Gabber-Fury, and Frederick Marcoux over at Concepts Web, who keeps dialthegate.com up and running. I appreciate you all tuning in. I hope you can join us for Kevin next. Lou Diamond Phillips tomorrow as well. My name is David Reed for Dial the Gate, and I will see you on the other side.